Hello, I'm here to introduce the next inspiration speech. Please welcome Tyler to the stage.
When you think of President Ronald Reagan, certain thoughts come to mind. They could be positive or negative, big or small. Just because the fact he's in your mind 20 years after he died shows he was definitely influential and inspirational. Today I'll be speaking about Reagan as a successful man with a less than stellar childhood, a president with the determination to stand up for what he believed in, and a man with a wit like a comedian, even with a gunshot wound. He was inspirational for these following reasons. The first thing that inspires me about Ronald Reagan is his success despite his humble roots. Reagan was born to a shoe salesman and housewife in a town of 734 in Illinois. He eventually went to Eureka College, where he played football, ran track, and captained the swim team. He went into show business with a screen test for Warner Brothers and was cast in Love is on the Air, playing a radio news reporter. He was cast in over 50 movies over the next 3 decades. As you can see, he wasn't exactly political in any way as a young man. He really came from nothing. He was an actor, not a politician. He rose to the highest office in the nation from a B-grade actor. It shows that in America, if you work hard, you can succeed. For those who don't know, I want to be a geneticist, a doctor who studies DNA coding. I have no doctors in my family, as Reagan had no actors or politicians in his. Though we come from different backgrounds, we have that in common. Is that the right? Oh yeah, that is the right one. Okay. The second thing that inspires me about Ronald Reagan is how he stood up for what he believed in and didn't give up. Fast forward to his presidency, he met with Mikhail Gorbachev on 5 occasions. I want to focus on the second meeting. This summit took place in Reykjavik, Iceland. It was held, as the Reagan Library put it, at Hofti House, a picturesque waterfront structure that was once the French consulate. They were about to strike a deal when Gorbachev demanded that the United States abandon plans for a space-based missile defense system. Despite Reagan's attempts at negotiation, Gorbachev did not budge. He would not risk American defense for some deal. His face was etched with anger and sadness. Reagan did not give up, though. He continued to meet with Gorbachev and eventually created the INF Treaty. There are 2 things to unpack there. One was the fact he held his ground. Even though he, the country, and the State Department wanted that treaty, he said it was going to be on his terms. Here, ladies and gentlemen, as I relate that to an experience I had, but I don't have one. This is the idyllic form of who I want to be. That doesn't happen right now. So me standing up for myself might not have happened, but that doesn't mean it doesn't inspire me. Next, he didn't give up. He didn't throw up his hands and say, whatever. No, he said we're going to figure this out, and he did. This has happened on numerous occasions to me. One I can think of is a 3rd grade desk disagreement. I will not name names, but I will tell you that this person and I were having disagreements over desks. I persistently tried to fix the problem. Eventually, with a teacher's help, we found a common ground. Just like Reagan, I wanted to throw up my hands and say, I'm done. But I didn't. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. You helped me a lot. The final 2 aspects that inspire me about Ronald Reagan is that he never lost his witty comedic side, even in the face of tragedy, and had the calling to lead. 2 months after his inauguration, on March 30th, 1981, Reagan was the victim of an attempted assassination. He was shot by John Hinckley Jr. outside a hotel in Washington, D.C. He was rushed to the hospital and eventually recovered and was back to work a few weeks later. He was also quoted saying to his wife, "Honey, I forgot to duck." First of all, he was shot. As history described his wounds, the round pierced one of the president's lungs and narrowly missed his heart. He went back to work a few weeks later. I don't know if that's ego, bravado, or all of the above, but above all, It was a calling to help the country he called home. I have that calling to help others and to help those who I hold close to my heart. This showed me how one man can, even through tragedy, still help 300 million people. Secondly, he said the greatest one-liner ever. In a shocked state, he was still able to say the quote stated before to his wife, Nancy. God willing, I will never be shot, but if I'm ever injured, I hope I can have the same wit. Laughter, in my opinion, is the greatest medicine. Once you can laugh at yourself and what you've gone through on life's journey, you are going to be fine. Ronald Reagan is inspiring to me because he never lost his wit, even in the face of death, always remembered his humble origins as an actor, and stood up for what he believed in. What I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to take away from these last 5 minutes is to put aside your political opinions and see Reagan as a person, not facts or figures. He was a fighter, a steadfast person for what he believed in, and was willing to do anything for his country. I intend to bring this throughout my life. He taught me that family and wit are 2 of the most important things in life. I want to take this to high school and beyond so I'll never forget what Reagan knew all along. He knew that determination, never losing where you came from, and a wit the size of Texas will take you as far as you want. I'll leave you with a quote. Ronald Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." That is what he did. He fought for freedom. That is why he's an inspiration. Thank you.
Round of applause for Tyler. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Kyla? The question was, what years was he president? He was president, I believe, from 1981 to 1989. Any other questions? Mayan, is that Mayan? I can't see from up here. Could you say that one more time? The question was he my first option? No, not at all. But it struck me one day how much he did inspire me, how much I quote him on a daily basis. I thought he'd be the perfect option for an engagement like this. Going once, going twice.